Failure rates for the NEBOSH International General Certificate remain high. This trend has persisted even after the transition to an open book format, which moved the assessment away from rote memorization. This video is for educational and exam preparation purposes only. Always refer to the latest official NEBOSH syllabus, past papers, and examiner reports for your exam sitting. Many professionals approach the IG1 paper believing the primary challenge is recalling or locating specific regulations. They treat the 24-hour window as an opportunity to search textbooks for definitions. The open book format actually evaluates the ability to map specific safety frameworks onto a dynamic scenario. Examiners explicitly state that generic answers, those that could apply to any workplace, earn no marks. Candidates who fail often possess significant safety knowledge, but struggle to meet the specific technical requirements of the NEBOSH grading rubric. To identify exactly where candidates lose marks, we analyzed an aggregate dataset from over 6 years of NEBOSH past papers and examiner reports. This data matrix, which graphs past paper dates against syllabus topics, reveals a high degree of topic concentration. The examination does not cover the syllabus with equal weight. Instead, it centers on a specific subset of elements. We compared these clusters with examiner feedback. The reports consistently highlighted a failure to apply knowledge to the scenario, confirming that technical accuracy alone is insufficient for a passing grade. The examination follows a consistent focus on core competencies. Mastering these 7 high-frequency nodes ensures coverage of the marking criteria most frequently used by examiners. Preparing for the NEBOSH certificate requires shifting focus from broad syllabus reading to the specific priorities detailed in examiner feedback. Topic 1 is risk assessment and the hierarchy of controls. This area attracts significant penalties for methodological errors during the IG2 practical. A frequent error is confusing an incident with a hazard. A fall from height is the incident. The hazard is the specific set of environmental conditions that makes that fall possible. Marks are awarded for precision. Writing ladder is too vague. A scorable formulation is work at height on unsecured ladders up to 5 meters for window cleaning. The IG2 practical requires a minimum of 10 hazards distributed across exactly 5 distinct categories, such as physical, chemical, or ergonomic. Failing to meet this specific ratio results in an unsuccessful submission. This is the official Section 1 background table. Examiners use these details to verify that the organizational description is sufficient to support the hazards identified in the rest of the report. When justifying controls, you must follow the hierarchy of controls. Elimination and engineering controls receive the highest priority. Personal protective equipment should only be presented as a secondary measure after higher-level controls are addressed. Success in risk assessment requires setting aside general intuition in favor of the rigid methodological rules defined by NEBOSH. Topic 2 focuses on health and safety management systems, specifically the Plan, Do, Check, Act framework. Exam scenarios often hide failures within the do and check phases. You must look for indicators like skipped safety audits or gaps in the training matrix within the scenario text. Topic 3 is incident investigation. The syllabus follows the ISO 45001 definition. An incident is an event that causes or has the potential to cause harm. This includes near misses. You must distinguish between causes. If a worker slips, the spill is the immediate cause. The underlying cause is poor floor maintenance, and the root cause is the management failure to allocate resources for cleaning. To structure your answers, use the PEE: principle, point, evidence, and explanation. A low-scoring answer might say, training was poor. A high-scoring response would state, management failed to train temporary staff, as the scenario notes that seasonal workers operated machinery without induction, creating a failure in the do stage of the safety system. A technically correct framework earns no marks if it is not explicitly tied to scenario evidence using this structured approach. Topic 4 addresses workplace health and occupational exposure, with a focus on chemical and biological agents. You are expected to differentiate between short-term and long-term workplace exposure limits. The control strategies for acute spikes are distinct from those used for an 8-hour weighted average. Topic 5 centers on permit-to-work systems. These are frequently tested using scenarios involving hot work, confined spaces, and high-voltage electricity. Examining Section 3.7 of the syllabus, we see the specific operational requirements for these systems. Examiners check for a focus on systemic control. This includes defining the scope of work, the specific isolation procedures, and the formal sign-off and handback protocols. A common mistake is proposing administrative solutions when the scenario requires physical isolation, such as the lock-off of an electrical supply. For high-risk activities, the marking scheme prioritizes verifiable, systematic hazard isolation over paperwork and supervision. Topic 6 is fire safety, centered on the fire risk assessment process. Scan the scenario for latent fire failures. NEBOSH narratives often include details like obstructed exits or wedged open fire doors that translate directly into marks. Topic 7 covers construction and work equipment, focusing on machinery safety integration. Machinery questions test your ability to identify mechanical hazards, such as entanglement or crushing, and the specific safeguards required for shielding the hazard. Section 11.8 outlines the risk factors examiners want considered: the severity of potential injury, the probability of occurrence, and the reliability of the safeguards. This criteria informs a critical strategy: the direct relationship between the number of points made and the marks awarded. If a question is worth 15 marks, you must provide 15 distinct scenario-backed points. Elaborating at length on a single point will only yield 1 mark. In the open book format, calculated breadth across the entire scenario is the most effective way to reach a passing score. Understanding these high-frequency topics is only the first step. Success within the 24-hour exam window requires a structured approach to practice. This 14-day schedule allocates the first week to reinforcing the 7 core topics. The second week is dedicated entirely to timed output and PEE drills. During week 1, focus on the fundamental frameworks, such as the hierarchy of controls, ensuring you can explain their application without relying on a textbook. Week 2 must involve timed past paper practice. This develops the speed required to extract evidence from a scenario and format it under exam conditions. For the IG2 practical, dedicate specific sessions to ensuring your hazard descriptions meet the mandatory distribution requirements of 5 distinct categories. Consistent simulation is the most effective way to ensure your answers meet the technical requirements of the marking scheme. The NEBOSH IGC remains the primary international standard for safety professionals. Achieving this certification is a core requirement for those moving into senior health and safety management roles. These 7 topics appear consistently because they represent the foundations of safety management. Mastering them will ensure you are prepared for the specific challenges of the exam sitting. For more detailed analysis of NEBOSH and safety career advancement, subscribe to the HSE Study YouTube channel. You can continue your preparation by selecting one of the videos on screen. Success in the NEBOSH exam depends on the precise application of these standards to protect lives in complex workplace environments.